Thanks for tuning into the Texas Scratch King channel. In this video you will hear an interview with S.T.P. The interviewer begins with, "How did you get started with pit bulls?" "Back in the late 60s my partner Triple X and I were into guard dogs. We belonged to a Schitzhund club in South Jersey. We had a Bouvier and he went out in 1970 and we bought a Staffordshire Terrier. We were always interested in attack work and the Staffordshire loved it. At 6 months old he'd do a long hit and he loved the bite work. Around 1972 we met the late John Kissick and eventually got the telephone number of the Sporting Dog Journal and started getting that magazine." "Where did you get your first pit bull?" "We got a dog from Jack Kelly that was sired by Fiorla's Muzio, who was sired by Fiorla's Red King, a two-time winner from a Tudor Corvino bloodline, and out of Kelly's Dancer who was a litter mate to Kelly's champion drummer." "Did you get to match him?" "No. She was a house dog. I got the next dog from Charles Sykes, who was out of Sykes Cherry and she was a litter mate to Sykes Sampson, the dog that won over Champion Rascal. At that time did you have anyone to look up to?" "We used to go over to Jack Kelly's place. They had a spot in New York and on Sunday mornings we'd go over there and they would roll dogs and occasionally have some matches. We met Andre Giroux, Ozzie Stevens and the DogMan from Rhode Island like Indian Eddie and Joe Goffard." "How did S.T.P originate?" "My partner Triple X and I were the originators. Then we got friendly with Mr. T and became partners with him and then Solo became a partner. He had been part of the Uptown Boys. Solo left the partnership about 1980 but the name stuck and we stayed S.T.P all these years. You guys owned a lifetime of good dogs. Which did you think were the best?" "Grand Champion Buck, Grand Champion John Boy, Grand Champion Candy, Champion Maggie, and more recently Grand Champion Lucane. Who are some of the best handlers and conditioners you have seen in the game?" "James Crenshaw always seems to have a dog in excellent condition. Ozzie Stevens, the late Barney Fife and Ben Calloway always had their dogs in great condition." "What were some of the best matches you ever saw?" "Jeep vs. Homer, Buck vs. Sandman, Black Girl and Jumbo Gina were first-time out dogs but were tremendous dogs." "When it comes to match dogs what style do you prefer?" "I like a dog that work anywhere he has to. A well-balanced dog with talent, speed and good natural air." "Do you think traveling with a dog to a match has a big effect on a dog?" "I don't think it has much effect at all. Unless the dog gets car sick or really stressed." "How do you go about choosing a judge?" "Someone who is experienced dog man and has judged several shows." "What about giving up weight? Would you take the forfeit and go on with the match?" "You should never give up weight. If someone comes in over you should take his forfeit. If the other fellow is only slightly over you should take his forfeit and agree to a new match. You have been competing for over 30 years and won in times from 30 minutes to 3 hours. Which do you consider your best win?" "Buck's win over Sandman. No doubt." "How did that match between two grand champions come about?" "Buck was retired a 6-time winner and 4 years old and we started to do some breeding with him. Ricky Jones was the big man in the South and we were doing pretty well in the North. There was some talk about who had the better dogs, the North or the South. We called Ricky and said let's do it and he was ready. Both dogs were close to 6 years at the time of the match. Do you have any suggestions when it comes to conditioning?" "I like a manual, slat mill, strength work and hand walking. Road work is good but we never did a whole lot of it. We prefer treadmill work to anything else." "When looking for a stud dog, what qualities do you look for?" "Since I have been in the game and with all the research I have done, has bred to more champions and grand champions." "Do you guys really believe in your slogan? Performance is everything when it comes to a stud dog?" "Yes. Performance and the bloodline to back it up. When it comes to breeding performance is right at the top. But it is also important that the stud come from a proven line." "What do you think works better? Inbreeding, line breeding or complete outcrossing?" "We always practice what I should call loose line breeding with the emphasis on good dogs. I don't particularly care for inbreeding and will outcross a good proven to a good dog as long as both come from good bloodlines themselves, even though they are unrelated. I'm going to mention a few bloodlines. Would you elaborate on their performance and producing?" "I only know what I read in the magazines and what I hear. I've heard Chinaman equals Frisco dogs are rough but I have never matched any and really can't say." "Jeep, Rascal dogs. Jeep was obviously a great producer but I never seemed to have much luck with that bloodline. You had some success with Boyle's dogs. Can you tell me something of the ones you have had?" "Over the past 7 to 8 years we have had some very good Boyle's dogs. They seem to be very well-rounded dogs, with high ability along with gameness and a lot of intensity. They are early starters and one of the best bloodlines that I've seen over the years. We had Grand Champion Candy and Champion Black Tasmanian. We bred Paws to Miss Rage. To China Girl, a daughter of Buck, and we got some very good dogs, Clean Mary, Bad Rosemary, and Mary Lou. Rosemary had the hardest mouth that I've ever seen. Grand Champion Buck was your favorite dog. But it seems you never had much of the Patrick bloodline. Buck was the hardest dog to beat that we ever had. But at that time there wasn't a whole lot of Patrick dogs in this part of the country. Consequently, most of the breedings made with him are out crosses, and he still produced real well. What about the Red Boy Jocko bloodline? It gave you 2 grand champions and several champions. Was that your favorite bloodline? Over the years we have probably had more success with Red Boy Jocko than anything else we had. Dogs like Grand Champion John Boy, Champion Toro, Champion Clyde, Champion Sassy, Grand Champion Lucane. They were all tough, durable dogs. What advice would you give to young dog men just starting out? Be objective. Don't be kennels blind and be the toughest judge on your own dogs. Believe what you see. Don't add or subtract anything more than what you see. Nobody has ever had your record of 24 champions and 5 grand champions. Do you think anyone will ever tie or break that record? Probably. But it will take a lot of hard work and dedication. You have accomplished everything you wanted in the game. Do you feel you would like to retire? Nope. I'm going to compete till I can't walk. Thanks again for listening to the Texas Scratch King channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share the video. Until the next time, my friends. As we always say, never submit to life and keep scratching every time.